Hello everyone, welcome and welcome back to my channel Favor's Flavor. My name is Favor. I'm so excited to see you guys today. I hope you guys like this video and I hope you subscribe if you haven't already. Today's video is going to be about my 2025 reading wrap up as well as my 2026 reading goals. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get right into the video. So I'm going to start with my stats. All of the stats I'll be mentioning in this video are all from Storygraph. If you guys haven't heard of Storygraph, I find it a lot better than Goodreads. It's a Black-owned reading tracking website, and I find the app very user-friendly. So check it out if you want to. If you guys don't already know about my reading journey, I have a video about that I will link above. I did start my reading journey May 31st, 2025. So from May 31st, 2025 to December 31st, I read 55 books, 17,447 pages. That is like really incredible to me. Just a brief feel about my reading journey. Prior to May 31st, 2025, I wasn't reading at all. Like if it wasn't for work or school, I wasn't reading anything. So for me to go from like 0 to 55 books in like 6 or 7 months, I'm really proud of myself, and it's really nice to be able to see these stats like this, and that's why I love Storygraph, because Goodreads doesn't give you something like this. So my first book that I read was Kennedy Ryan's Before I Let Go. Just an amazing book, amazing series, the Skyland series. If you guys haven't read it already, add it to your TBR for this year. So the last book I read in the year of 2025 was Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo, also an author that I believe I got into some of her books in the year of 2025. And I'm actually going to go check to see if she's releasing any book anytime soon, because I did enjoy her writing in the year of 2025. I'll put up some pictures now. So basically you can see how my books and pages read per month looks on this graph that you're seeing right now, and it's just really nice to see. Looks like August was my lowest month in terms of like number of books read and number of pages read, which honestly I couldn't even tell you what really was happening in August, but that's what that looks like. My top genres: romance, not surprising at all; contemporary, not surprising; literary, not surprising either. And then I have young adult and thriller. The young adult is actually pretty surprising, because I didn't think I read that many young adult books, but I guess I did. I mean, must have read at least like 6 or 7 for it to come up on here, but I guess I read that many young adult books. So my longest book that I read in 2025 was Sweet Heat by Bolu Babalala. That book was 496 pages. And I remember I said in my review that I could have used less pages on that book, but still I'm happy that if I read a long book, it was that book. And I do have like a bingo that I'm going to show you guys towards the end of this video, and one of my prompts is to read a book over 500 pages, because up until now I haven't read a book over 500 pages. So that would be cool to see if I can manage that. My shortest book was Inheritance, a visual poem by Elizabeth Acevedo. That was 48 pages, and I listened to that on audiobook, so honestly it felt shorter than 48 pages, but it's a poem. So I spent an average of 5 days reading each book. Pretty normal for me. And the author I spent the most time with in 2025 was Kennedy Ryan. Not surprising. I believe I read like 5 of her books. My 2025 average rating was 4.03, which is pretty good. I have 10 5-star reads. I already made my video about my favorite books of the year. If you guys haven't checked that out, please check it out. All the books that I really enjoyed, and those were books that I would see myself rereading in the future, some maybe even this year. I also made a video about my books that I DNF'd and ones that I felt like I should have DNF'd. That's also a really good video to check out if you guys haven't checked it out already. Otherwise, those were like my main stats. I can't really tell you what my favorite book of the year was, but that's something I'm gonna start doing this year, is to start figuring out what my favorite book of the month is, and then by the end of the year basically do like a tally table and see which one comes out on top. That would be cool to do, since I would have a full year to get that data for. So that's all for my 2025 reading wrap up. I believe I had a really good time in 2025 for someone that, you know, started my reading journey only like 7, barely 8 months ago. So we're gonna go into the second part of this video, which is my 2026 reading goals. I have about 5 or 6, not much. I only have one that's like a numbers goal. The first goal I have is to read 52 books. And I'm sure you're probably like, you read 55 books in like 7 months. Why are you putting your goal to be lower? I feel like 52 is probably gonna be like my goal every year, because for me, if I take an average of 5 to 6 days to read a book, it means at that rate I could read 1 book per week. 52 weeks in the year, that feels like a really good bare minimum goal for me personally, at least in this stage of my life. Could I read double that? Yeah. Could I also read half that? Yeah. It doesn't really matter to me, the numbers doesn't, because I know this year is already gonna be like a little busy for me because I have some changes that are gonna be happening, but still I still enjoy reading, and I still see myself reading 70-80 books this year if possible. But 52 books just seems like a good goal for me to be able to work towards and possibly attain, because that's like 1 book a week regardless of how long or short the book is. That's my main numerical goal, I guess you could say. So my second goal for 2026 is to utilize my reading journal, and this is something that honestly I'm like a planner girl, but I haven't had much time to do it. And when I see some of the planner videos, I just I don't think I can make a video like that. But this is my reading journal. It's just like really white. The book is white, so I don't think you guys can see it. I got it from Amazon. I'll link it down below if you guys are interested. I actually got this like last July or August, when I started my reading journey. When I couldn't get to it, I was like, you know what, I'll just save it for the new year and start it over that way. But I really love this. This is a reading journal only, that you cannot like do any other kind of journaling in the book. But I love the prompt, and hopefully I can show you guys like clips of it in a future video where I actually start like putting my reviews and stuff in the book. But this is my reading journal, and like I said in some of my other videos, I definitely want to use Goodreads less. I really like Storygraph because nobody's really following me. I can choose what I get to share, and there's not that pressure. Like I don't see what other people are posting there. I think I'm only even following like 2 or 3 people that honestly sometimes I forget that part of the app is there where you can see what other people are reading. So for me, Storygraph just feels like my own personal thing, so I will still be using that. But when it comes to Goodreads, I definitely would be using it less. Still using it. I didn't delete the app or anything, but I definitely want to use my reading journal more. So my third goal in 2026 is to read what I want to read. Let me explain this. Obviously, as someone that is still pretty new in my reading journey and still getting molded in terms of figuring out what I like to read and what I don't like to read, I guess I have slightly harder time because I'm filming videos, right? If I wanted to sit here and just read the only things that I want to read, I mean, I could do that. You guys would just choose to watch me if you want to, right? But I also felt like a little pressure, like in terms of like trying to diversify my reading. For example, this book right here, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I started reading it and I dropped it. It wasn't like a DNF. It was like I'll come back to it sort of situation. Basically everybody that I've talked to that has read this book has totally loved it. I read about 15% of the book. Like I have no excitement in me to pick this book back up and read it and finish it. And it's not like I hate the book, but it's just not something that I'm interested in. And I just feel some type of way to try to finish it and maybe even read the next book. Maybe fantasy is not for me. Not just because I hate it, but just maybe it's not something that I find enjoyable right now. And that's something I'm trying to train my head to just not feel pressure in terms of reading certain genres and certain books, especially when they're very popular and whatnot. My goal is to read what I want to read, when that time comes. And if I get to a point where, I'm like, you know what, I want to pick this book back up, I want to pick it back up and just read it because I want to read it, not because it has over 4 million ratings on Goodreads or whatever the stats are. I read what I want to read anyway, but it's just learning to stand on that, right? My next goal is to read more diversely. And my definition of diversity is basically more Black and people of color authors, more people that are not, advertised as much. I read a lot of Nigerian books. Something I would like to, do in this year is to also look into other West African, other East African authors, North African authors, South African authors. There's a couple Native American books that I have on my TBR. So stuff like that. That's what I mean when I say I want to read diversely. So that's something I want to look into. Another goal I would love to implement this year is to start annotating. That's something that I don't even know if I know how to do. I've never done it before, but I find that sometimes when I'm reading certain books, I'm just like, this is something I want to come back to, right? I've never annotated, and I would want to like start doing that, especially for certain books. Obviously, not every book is going to require annotating, but I want to like, start doing it little by little and see where I can get it to. That's that. Down to 2 more goals. Second to last one is to read more nonfiction. Obviously, nonfiction is something that I found that it's not just me that has an issue with it. Most people have issues with like reading nonfiction books. For me, the way I've been able to incorporate nonfiction books in 2025 was through poems and memoirs. So I'm gonna like hone in on that. Just looking for more memoirs that I like and more poems, that sort of stuff. So that would be nice to incorporate. I don't know about reading 1 nonfiction book a month, because I've seen some people like put that as a goal, but I don't think I can do that. At least I want to have, maybe if I was to give it a percentage at the end of the year, maybe I want to read at least 10% nonfiction. That sounds like a good percentage to start out with. That doesn't put a lot of pressure on me. So my last goal is one that is like temporary. I do not want to buy any books for the first quarter of the year. So that's January, February, March, not buying any books. For someone that only started reading in May, June, I have bought a lot of books. Like I literally have, and all the books that I bought, most of them I actually do want to read. But the problem is I keep buying more. I keep like reading Kindle books, so like I end up neglecting my physical books. So my goal right now is to not buy any single books for January, February, March of this year. I don't think it'll be hard for me to do. I have my Kindle, also the library is there. I have a ton of books that I bought that I actually do want to read. So, and the other thing too that's making this easy is most of my anticipated releases start coming out in April. So I feel like I can manage not to buy anything in the first 3 months and then start buying once the new releases come out in April. Plus, like 3 or 4 of the books that I was anticipating, I got ARCs for. One of them I actually am I'm going to try to read this month. Between the ARCs and the books that I do own that I do want to read, I should be able to manage not buying any books for the first 3 months of the year. So I totally forgot to show you guys my reading bingo. So aside from my reading goals, I wanted to do something like this because I already do bingo for my regular like personal goals. I was like, why not do something like this for reading? So I did this on Canva. I have a Canva premium membership, so it's like free for me, but if you don't, you probably have to like register. I took a template and I adjusted it for my own needs. I also made like a second page. This I did all on my own, just so I can write out the names of the books that fulfill each prompt. That way I'm not using the same book for multiple prompts, if that makes sense. Let's get right into it. So the first row, I have a 2026 release, so that's something that should be easy to do. I have a book with a green or purple cover. So green and purple are my favorite colors. I felt like that was a good thing to put in there. I read a book that's greater than 500 pages. That's also something that I have never done, so that would be cool to actually do. And I'm hoping that if I hit bingo, I'll buy myself a book. That feels like a worthwhile reward for fulfilling bingo. The next one is a classic. So if you watched my last book haul, I got like 2 or 3 classic books that I definitely want to get to this year. I have a young adult book. Clearly I read a lot more young adult books than I thought I did in 2025, so that should be easy for me to accomplish. So the next row, I have started series. I believe I should be starting the Hoop series by Candy Ryan, so that would be easy for me to get into. I have award-winning Reading in the Morning. I think that's from the old template, so I have to like find something else to go in there. I have an LGBTQ main character. I have a book that I could potentially read for that. Number in the title. That's a little hard. I don't know if I have a book for that, but we'll find it. I have thriller mystery. I just put that there because I don't read a lot of thriller mysteries, but I feel like if I read one of them, I'll be able to do that. Short story / essay collection. I'm already currently reading one, so this is something that I should be able to like cross out pretty easily soon. Free, of course. New author to me. This is going to be easy because a lot of authors are new to me. Then we have fantasy. It's probably going to be one of my hardest ones, but we'll see. Has a movie adaptation. Definitely one that I don't think will be hard for me to do. We have Nigerian historical fiction. I got a bunch of Chinua Achebe books in the last month or so of 2025, so I definitely want to like tap into his books. And then I have debut novel. That's not going to be hard to do. A lot of debut novels are coming out in 2026 and they're coming out with a bang, so that's not going to be hard. And we have Set in a City or State that I've lived in. Husi novella, probably not hard to do, especially when it comes to like the holiday time. We have a reread. There's at least like 2 books that are on the list to get reread. I think that's Love by the Book and Real by Kennedy Ryan. So those 2 books are probably going to be reread in 2026. We have a book set on an island. I'm someone that, even though I can't swim, I love the islands. And so if I can read a book that's set on an island, I would love that. And then we have a nonfiction book, just, to light that fire under my butt to read more nonfiction. A poetry book, that's not going to be hard to do, I don't think. And then we have a book published before 2000, because why not? So that's my full reading bingo. Hope this will make reading fun for me. You guys can also adapt something like this for yourself. You can make it like a 3x3, a 4x4. You don't have to make it a 5x5. I just want to show you guys that. Those are all my reading goals for 2026. I hope you guys comment down below. What are your reading goals for this year? Do you guys keep like numerical goals? Do you have goals at all? Because at the end of the day, my main goal is to just continue reading. All of these goals I just said are just, if I can, I'll work towards it. But as long as I'm reading and I'm enjoying what I'm reading, that's what matters to me. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys in my next video. Bye.